Hey guys, this is CDFA. You guys may know me as CDFA. It's 1 in the morning. I've done 5 takes of this. I don't want to go any further than I need to because I talk for so long. I OS is a terrible game, and it's ruined my life because I have to exist. I have I work hard. I do a whole lot to further my life, and I have to be up in the morning and read stuff like this. So what's pretty much happened is that there's been a I don't this is going to be a common thing in this video. I don't know how a lot of things work, which will probably I will be upfront admitting. Some bearded German dude can come in and be like, well, yeah, CDFA doesn't know what he's talking about, and like, yeah, in some aspects I don't, but I will be upfront that I don't know how the system works. I don't know if this is like a hard rule, or if this is just a suggestion. If this is just a request for something. However, it has already had real consequences, so either way, it still has been having real effects. I'm not just sort of looking at a dumb request on like a suggestion thing and ranting about it. This is something that has actively affected the game at this point. So pretty much, long story short, 20 maps. Not even maybe 20. We'll think about it. No, 20 maps. You get 20 nominations a month, and you can't go over it. They'll say, sorry, you've already nominated too many maps. You've already nominated this many, because if you go past 20, that means you're spamming maps. It means you are going through maps and you're going like, yay, I don't need to look at this. I'm ranking, yay. There's been a lot of backlash already on Twitter, so I know that I'm not wrong in saying this, but this is an absolutely insane statement to make, and it's insane on so many levels. And I don't, Jasper, I don't know you. I get the feeling you don't like me based on the few conversations we've had. I get that. I'm not likable nowadays. It's a defense mechanism I have to sort of cope with me being having to accept that I'm not relevant in the game anymore. So I get that. That's fine. Um, However, objectively, there's I don't know if this is how this dude's always been, or if this is just if he's just a messenger for someone else giving a really bad suggestion, or what the case is. But this is just amazing. It's amazing how much it misses the point of so many things, and it misses the point of what OS actually needs as a game, and how it really is just self-serving to the NAT to not have to put effort into what they do. First of all, as I said, the hard, like, it's a very locked-out thing to do, to have like instead of being open for discussion, being like, this has to be this, and this is objectively has to be this, and it's common sense, and you are a fool for thinking that it's going to be some other way. And I love this, kind of related, but I love this last statement. Doing an in-depth evaluation at larger volumes is too resource intensive to be cost effective. I feel like, as I said, I don't know this guy. I don't. I don't know him. I don't know if he's like in college. I don't know. It's such a left field kind of like smarmy thing to be like. That's right. I'm going to use my college language for my Meet Nominator game because we're a business and our cost effective and our Dow index is, and I'm just like, it's just sort of trying to mask the point about, oh, we don't feel like doing deeper evaluations for people in unique situations. It's literally what it's saying. It's saying that we're going to pay our NAT too much to evaluate this person. I guess, I don't know. We can't hire any more NAT because we have a budget to face. We have oh my gosh, the OS is going to close down. We can't pay the NAT. It's 1 in the morning. I'm not smart anyway, so either way, yeah, it's dumb. It's a very weird statement. I hate the way this is written. But realistically, the biggest reasoning is that they say that people who nominate more than 20 maps are inherently generally bad nominators because they're spamming. You know, they can't possibly be active. You know, when you get into BN headspace, you have to sit and spend the whole day, you know, immersing yourself in the map, going, ooh, let me fine comb this, let me look through and make sure that every single thing is just bellissimo, and that you have to spend like a week on every map or whatever this guy is talking about. That's not how the game works. That's not how the game works, and that a lot of active BNs and people over time haven't done things like that. You know, there is 20 maps is not something that's impossible to achieve, and it's not something that, you know, is an indicator of a good job. I love the statement: the majority of BNs never or rarely reach 20 a month. That's not a good thing. That's not a thing to be proud of. That you have this huge ass team of people that don't do anything, that are just, you know, sitting on their butts, either, you know, either unwilling to quit when they're too busy, unwilling to ask for help, unwilling to support the team, or just going within their little circle of what they like and their little circle of, friends that they're going to nominate for, or safe mappers that they're going to nominate for, and just sit there and not really work on developing the game, and not really work on being accessible to OS as a whole. It's something that I, while on paper it looks great. It looks great, like, oh yeah, you know, this guy, he ranked one map and it didn't get disqualified, so he's 100%. This is the guy we're looking for. I don't get I don't get what this guy's getting at, because he's correlating something that doesn't really exist, and he's not looking at the data and evaluating it. He's just sort of reading raw numbers and being like, well, based on this percentage, obviously, based on this number, the bigger number is the better number, therefore blah, 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 blah. It's absolutely inane. And what do you do if you have someone that, is getting a few disqualifications on a few maps, and they only rank so many? Is that different than, are you going to look at things percentage wise, or are you going to look at things like purely numbers wise? Because obviously, if you're modding, 200 maps in 90 days, and and let's say 20 of them get disqualified, oh, that's a 10% disqualification rate. And that's a different situation than someone ranking, 40 maps in 90 days and getting, 4 unranked. Those have the same percent, but they have different, they're very similar in some ways, but different in other ways, and those have to be looked at, in different ways. You can't just. And it's not even to say, oh, like yeah, the percentages are the same, but the numbers are different. 40 disqualifications in 400 is still the same as 200 as 40 for 4 in some sort of way. You have to look at that and see, okay, why are these disqualifications happening? What's happening in them? Are they consistent? Is the BN not learning? Are they not being careful? Stuff like that. Um, Sort of putting a cap is just trying to solve an issue in like the worst way possible. And the last statement is really, really telling about, oh, it's not worth our time to evaluate because our evaluation system doesn't really affect that. That's also not a good thing. If your evaluation system is able to have cracks in it, you need to be able to, manage those cracks. You need to be able to look at something and be like, yeah, you could have slid through here, but nope, we caught you, and we're going to do a deeper evaluation. And yeah, deeper evaluations probably aren't as fun. They're not as easy. But if you want to be supporting people that are trying their best to be a part of this team, you kind of need to put that effort in. And if you can't do that, then you either need to build a team that can, or just evaluate if you're able to do this job. Evaluate, am I able to devote myself to this team, to this position that I have? Sure, it's a volunteer position, but it still is a position. And you know you, and you sign up for it with some sort of level of commitment. People have said no to joining the QAT because they know, I can't commit to this, I can't do this. It's just it's insane that they're just going to band-aid something like this and hurt the game more than help it, without looking at this content and saying, oh well, this is actually going to solve something. We're going to take a look at where this has affected the game. And so this is Cherry. beat up Dominator, controversial figure in the game, but overall, pretty active. 16 nominations and 116 nominations, 15 disqualifications. And no pops. I don't know if that means anything. Either way. So looking at the data, that's 116 minus 15. That is an 87% success rate, which is pretty good, Pretty good stuff to have 87% of your maps go through without an issue, especially on those numbers that big. And I don't know what the 15 were disqualified for. I don't know if they were objective issues, subjective issues, mapper issues, stuff like that. I don't know what they were for, but still, that is something that the NAT needs to sit down and evaluate. And sit down and say, okay, well, you're ranking a lot of maps, and 87% of them are working out, but this 13, the percent that's not working out, that's hindering the game, and that's that's causing a deficit in the success of the game. Which I think if they looked at that, would it really be the case? It really feels like they just kind of don't want to put a workload on there. And if Cherry continues to mod, having 20 maps a month isn't going to make her think, oh, well, I better use my big brain to make sure that these are the 20 best maps I'm going to mod this month. No, it's going to go one of two ways. Either they mod 20 at the beginning of the month and then have this huge wait list of, oh yeah, I'll mod it when I get more nominations next month, or she's going to say, this is dumb, I hate this, I'm going to resign. And you've lost 116 nominations. You've lost so much content in the game. You've lost people's chances to, have their maps ranked because of this rule. Because of this ineffective rule that doesn't solve the core issue at hand. And it's just frustrating that so many people have the privilege of making their way to the NAT, and instead of trying to find ways of making the game better, they suggest stuff like this that realistically maybe fits their niche. Maybe they don't mod a whole lot, but because they have these really cool wall mods, because they're like Tasha, and we're able to did like one mod a month, but made a huge wall of, oh, it should be instead of then you're like amazing. Carter Freak for those who don't know, and not Tasha's my buddy. Haven't talked to them in years, but I'm just is the easy example of someone who didn't mod a lot but just got really popular off their wall mods. Raiku's another one. There's a few more, but I'm not gonna try to remember them. That may have worked for them, but for people that are really doing a lot of the backbone of getting new content ranked, it's weird, doesn't make sense, and it's hurting the team more than it's helping. Because that is making a statement saying, we don't want you to mod maps. We don't want you to push for new things. We don't want you to try to expand the game and try risky things and try out new stuff. And we don't want you to learn from your mistakes. You need to be a part of this team already perfect, and you need to make sure that everything is, and you need to make sure that you are, only ranking stuff if you're 1,000,000% sure that everything is going to be hunky-dory, everything's going to be nice and squeaky clean, which is, in theory, yeah, that's great. Yeah, we should be, looking for making sure the nominations are perfect. But without that, well, a few things. One, having the cap doesn't mean that people aren't doing that, and having the cap doesn't mean that people are doing that. That the people under 20 are going to be, putting in a lot of effort. They just sort of have an excuse to be lazy if they're doing that. Some people are, taking that time, and that's great. But for a lot of stuff, it's saying, okay, well, I only have 20 maps. I don't want, if I get one map unranked, that's 95%, 2 maps unranked, 90%, 3 maps unranked. So I have to make sure that I'm only approving the safest maps possible so that I don't get unranked and that I can make sure that I stay a part of this team. And it's a weird way of living, but I like the title. I want to help people. I don't know. It's just I I, I it's amazing how people sit in the game and don't want the game to progress. That they're fine with sort of having this really kind of tiny, you know, of having this game and just limiting it constantly, being so insistent on limitations rather than scaling it to the growth of the game as a whole. OS is a huge game. OS is massive. It's grown so much since I started playing in 2009. It went from being this sort of, oh, it's a funny EVA clone and for like this little indie game to being something that's like massive and noteworthy in so many places. And and the fact that the team is so insistent on limitations and blocking things and minimizing workloads and minimizing maps that are ranked, it's insane. It's absolutely wild. Um and I think especially the way it was handled was, wild too. The fact that there's no discussion, there's no waiting for this to go through. It's just ephemeral, which ephemeral. I know you don't like me. I know you're tired of me being a part of this game. It's great, um, but I'm here to stay. Stop doing stuff like this. Stop intentionally putting yourself into the situations where you're going to get pooped on because you are much smarter than this. You are such a smart guy. There's so many good things about you. You've done so much positive stuff for the game, but you keep on doing the stuff where you put yourself in the forefront of these really insane decisions, and you get pooped, you get shat on for it. And people are right in that instance to be like, hey, this was objectively a really bad thing to do. And I'm tired of having to talk trash about you. If you were Lockdown, if you were Zalius, if you were not mid tier about trash talking Peppy, I'd be fine. But I don't want to trash talk you, dude. I coming from somebody who's known you from years. Please stop doing this. Please just make Yaspo send that message. I don't know. Yeah, but the fact that it just sort of like, hey, we're just gonna knock out this BM because they're too active. They're too active, not because you got a lot of maps unranked in a row. If like 5 maps got unranked in a row, I'd be like, okay, this is cause for concern. We're gonna evaluate this, or you did this thing. We are gonna take a little reevaluation. We need to see what's happening. No, it's you're too active. Bye. Temporarily though, it's the situation was handled badly. The suggestion is bad. The implications it has for OS as a game is telling everyone that mods don't mod. Maybe you should just mod slower or not care about the game as much or keep yourself to your little circle of safe mappers. Rank every Sotarks map. Rank every sort of little basic map that people are objectively going to like and not get disqualified. Don't take risks. Don't do that kind of stuff because you only have 20, so make them count. And it's so unfortunate because Cherry has done so. Regardless of how you feel about Cherry, regardless of stuff she's done, regardless of the many things that you can say about Cherry, Cherry as a BN has done so much for the game to really push this game further and further. She's taken a lot riskier maps and brought them out to light, whether for good or for bad. She's constantly updating the discussion about what maps can be ranked, and constantly looking at different kinds of mappers without having to be intrinsically motivated by mugs or whatnot about wanting to push this game further. And that is something that this game needs. This game needs so much of that, and that is something that I have always been pushing for, is people to, put in the effort, be afraid to take risks, be afraid to make mistakes, not be afraid to make mistakes. It's 1 a.m. Sue me. To not be afraid to make mistakes, to not be able to not limit themselves, and to really try out these new things and really expand this game. It's just, it's just befuddling that people are still in 2021, after so many years of me fighting this stuff, that this is still happening, that people just want automation, and they just want the safest maps being ranked, and just this kind of messy stuff. At this point, at this point, it just feels like we shouldn't even make content creation. At this point, I literally feel that the team would be better off if you just hired people to make maps and just be like, okay, user submissions, you can apply to be part of the mapping team, but user submissions aren't going to get ranked. You have to apply to be an official OS mapper, and then then they map the songs they want to map. Because that's honestly, if you're going to limit things that much, you might as well just make the workload less and just be an internal team that looks at these internal mappers and approves things. So then we wake up every day at 9:30 a.m. CST, and we're like, oh, what are the new 8 maps for the day? What have they cooked up for us now? What have our feeders given to us? So to everyone that cares about the game, to everyone that really is putting in that effort and using the free time they have to support this game and nominate a whole bunch of maps and do a decent job at it. 87% is not a bad percentage, and I'm maybe I'm wrong. Maybe those 15 nominations were the BG has the N word in it for all 15. It's like, oh, there's a picture of an enormous butt in all of the images. Like, if it's stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, I've wasted my entire nights. Being tired at work tomorrow was pointless. I look like an idiot. But if those disqualifications are just sort of the same that people would get if they were modding 5 maps a month, then it's just insane. And the fact that it's handled in this terrible way just it's disheartening. And I feel so bad for Cherry in particular, because Cherry, let me see. All right, I now know how to pause streams, so let me go. So you look at Cherry's response to this, and she's not super happy about it. And it sucks because this is a consistent thing that the NAT does. They super discourage people that are trying their best to make things happen and are devoting themselves to the game and really pushing out this content and really trying to support this game that they so care about. Yeah, are there issues? Who knows? But if there are issues, instead of sort of just having this aversion to be like, oh, you're not good enough, get out of here. You have to foster that. I don't know. Is it an insane thing to say that NAT can sit down and foster these relationships that they have? They can foster these sorts of team members and say, yes, you're modding a lot. Yes, there are issues. We can sit down and we can fix this, and we can we can sit down and help. Is there any way that can happen? Is there any way that we can sit down and support the team instead of just constantly bashing them down? People make fun of me people made a whole lot of fun of me when I threw a fit over the BA or BN, I forget what it was at the time, losing their form status, losing their form name. But and the form name wasn't the issue. The issue was that the NAT and the higher ups, they have no respect. They have no respect for the BNs. The BNs are just little gremlins that love the little privileges they get, and they'll do anything to keep the privileges. And stuff like this also keeps on showing on that. It keeps on going that, yeah, the BN team is just sort of like this little rinky-dink team, and we don't have to respect them because they're just they'll accept anything. They haven't been devoting time. They're not as high up as we are. We are the NAT. We got chosen to be here. Which, spoiler alert, NAT is generally inherently chosen not off skill, but based on agreeability. And any sort of people that will sit down and tell you that that's wrong, I'll be happy to explain situations where it has been the case, where the NAT is built of people that are either inactive or otherwise just going to agree with whatever the highest up person says, which hypothetically is yeah, it's what you want. You want a cohesive vision, but there's not really a cohesive vision as compared to people constantly defending weird decisions because, oh, well, they probably know better, and we want to keep our position, so we're just gonna agree rather than sort of have a actual discussion, stuff like that. That's my conspiracy theory statement for the day. That's what I do. Yeah. So this is just a screwed up issue overall, and Cherry, Cherry's not super I don't know Cherry's opinion to me. I feel like she's not super glad that I exist. But I, it's such an interesting thing because I relate so much to to their struggle, and I can just say that the best option right now is to quit because it's not going to get better. It's not going to get better. It unless huge changes are made to the team. This is just going to continue being a thing because they don't a lot of the NAT they're not really a lot of the game itself is not inherently based on passion. It's not based on trying new things. It's not based on development. It's based on sort of streamlining, and it's based on sort of agreeability, and it's based on sort of minimizing conflict and minimizing discussions. It's we might as well have auto-generated maps, which is kind of what happens. Hashtag Sotarks. And if you keep on pushing yourself and putting yourself in this position where you're going to keep on allowing yourself to be mistreated, it's going to affect you. It's going it's and I'm literally not joking in that I'm still dealing with the effects of everything that I went through trying to become a beat map nominator, being one, and then leaving the team. I still am facing issues based off of that. Because there is a point where just because you're passionate about something and because you're doing the right thing doesn't mean that you'll get the support that you deserve from the bodies that will allow you to do that. The whole team may, the whole OS community may support you, and I support you as well. But I just, it's just heartbreaking to see, and I don't want you or anyone else in this position because Cherry's been the focal point, but I'm sure there's others that are in the same position as well, being affected by this. I don't want people to be in the situation where they, get hurt, damaged by just an inconsiderate team, by a team that's only looking out for themselves and not looking at these people that are devoting themselves for very long periods of time for no compensation at all. It's just sad. It really is sad and unfortunate, and I I hate the fact that after so many years this mindset has still existed, and it's a little easier for me to talk badly about the NAT now because I don't know most of them. It's tough when they were all my friends that I could at least sort of try to knock some sense into them. But with these guys, I don't know their intentions. But based on everything I've seen, it's the same old, same old. So, yeah, really unfortunate situation, and I am just so sorry that this is how things are going. Um, and I hope the NAT takes a look at the backlash they're getting for this and really reevaluates what they're doing because so many good things were happening with having evaluations the way that they were, with having these sorts of more personalized looks at the team. It just seems like a huge step backwards and a huge cry for help about we don't want to devote the time necessary to build a healthy and strong team. We just kind of want people to fall in line or people to fall in our idea of what's good rather than accepting people that are devoted to the game. It's just, I don't know. I don't know. I I wish things weren't like this. And I wish that if things were like this, that the team put more effort into handling these issues better rather than impulsively making these decisions without any sort of pre-warning discussion care for the BN team. Yeah, I don't see things getting better, but I really hope they do. I've been proven wrong before, so I'm hoping that I'm proven wrong again.